morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on. And welcome to Across the Pitch, Across the Pub, a brand new series featuring myself, Phil Kennedy, along with Tony Robinson and Darren Woodhead. And this Across the Pub is going to be a monthly roundup that we do on everything involving Accrington Stanley, news around the team, and also with the Accrington Stanley Supporters Trust and anything happening on that ends of things. And it was the brainchild of Darren and Peter Latham. So, Darren, did you want to start off by kind of giving folks a little rundown of what we're going to do here on Across the Pub?
Yeah, definitely. So, nice to speak to you guys both tonight. I mean, one thing we're definitely missing the pub in Accrington because we're in Tier 3 lockdown, so with no pubs open. So this is the nearest we're going to get. And I was speaking to Peter this morning around all the topics that we could cover in a one-off show, and Peter said it's the type of content that you normally talk about when you go in the bar after a game, etc. So here we are, across the pub.
And I've got my pint pulled, and I'm ready to go. So
yeah, it's a little bit easier for me because it's 7 p.m. tonight. You're in the afternoon, and it's still coffee time for Phil. But unless
it's just past noon. It's lunchtime.
It's easily time. Yeah, now we've adjusted all our clocks and confused you, Phil.
Well, it's 3 o'clock for me, so it's closer to happy hour than if it was 2 o'clock. But we do our clocks this weekend, and it's just so confusing with this time change. But anyway, we're all together and we've got our drinks ready. So looking forward to the chat.
And one thing we are doing, we're social distancing, which is very important.
I work today. 99 miles away from Accrington here in Phoenix.
That's the biggest distance we've got. Yeah, and then we've got around 2,200 between you two guys and 3,400 miles between Tony and myself. So we've got a nice little triangle going on there, and we're nice and safe.
And just for those people who like to do metric like we do in Canada, that's 8,000 kilometers for Phil and Darren, 35 for Phil and me, and 55 from Tony to Darren. So just to keep everybody happy.
And assuming a 4-3-3 formation, that would have Tony in the number 10 position, Darren would be playing the number 8, and I would be in the number 6 role.
I had you between the pipes, Phil.
Well, we're going to have a lot of fun here today, but before we talk about all the good things that are going on, we do have a bit of sad news where our friend Scott Brown, who, if you've been listening to the show for a long time, you'll know that Scott was the very first guest we ever had on the show almost 2 years ago, back in November of 2018, has been on 3 other times since. Of course, he was a member of the Accrington Stanley League 2 championship team, has since moved on to where he's been playing at Warrington Town. Sadly, yesterday, Scott did suffer a very, very serious injury. He told me last night that he has badly broken his both his tibia and his fibula. He's awaiting surgery. So we just want to send all of our best wishes and fast recoveries out to Scott. And if you want to send Scott a get well message of your own, you can find him on Twitter at ScottBrown85.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just a tough part of the game where, it's just it's a heartless game sometimes, especially when you consider such a great guy like Scott, and this is now the second major injury he's had like this in his career.
Yeah, obviously we wish him all the best. Hopefully he can, come back, get to a similar level that he's playing at. Obviously it's not easy with his age, etc. But there's one thing Scott Brown is. He's a tenacious character, so I'm pretty confident he can do it.
And he's been enjoying his football and playing some good football with Warrington, and getting lots of playing time. So yeah, we wish him all the best in his operation and speedy recovery. And hopefully we'll see him back on the pitch sooner rather than later, like we have with Sean McConville.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that, if there's anything Scott is, he's a warrior, and he's one of those guys that just, lives for the game of football. And, we hope to see a successful surgery and a full recovery, and Scott back out on the midfield where he belongs.
Yeah, his story of the night of the celebration is part of folklore now for Accrington Stanley. So we look forward to chatting with him down the road, and hopefully we can get some more good stories from him.
Absolutely. And before we get into to the kind of rundown list of topics, we did want to give another quick mention to our new sponsor, Afloat Posters.
Afloat Posters. Now you can get top quality, high gloss, full color infographics from Afloat Posters featuring all of the clubs from your favorite league, including EFL League One and USL Championship. Afloat Posters also has infographics featuring defunct historic leagues and even new infographics featuring past and present teams from your hometown. You can get 3 different sizes of posters at Afloat Posters, starting at just $8.99 US. And now, you can save 10% on anything at the website, afloatposters.com. Using the promo code ATP10. That's ATP10. Just enter that code at checkout for 10% off at Afloat Posters.
I haven't had a chance to display and photograph them yet, but the good folks at Afloat Posters, they did send me over 4 sample posters that I got yesterday, including the EFL League One poster. So I'm going to have some pictures of those up on social media later today.
Oh, excellent. I've been having a quick browse through the website in the last few days, and there's some fantastic stuff on. I've noticed that they've got a little logo on there. It says, where nerdom and fandom collide. I think for all of us collectors of items and programs and posters, etc., that resonated with me. And there's some fantastic stuff on there.
Yeah, I think some of the they'll do logos from the past, and it would be of interest for me, because when you see teams change and logos change, and they can do all that stuff, it really is some quality stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited to be working with this sponsor, and the best thing is that anything you order from Afloat Posters, you can get 10% off using the promo code ATP10. And I've also heard that I think for the first 20 people who use that code, there's going to be a special free poster that comes along with it too. So don't waste time. Get to afloatposters.com and save 10% using the promo code ATP10.
And I assume family members of the show we don't qualify for that, Phil.
Oh no, not true. Anybody can use it. So yeah, AT10.
Okay, well, after we've covered that, which is, and we thank them for jumping on board. I thought it would be a good time to, while the three of us together, is just to get your opinions, and I think we should start off with Darren as to the season so far. For Stanley after 7 games. Are they where you expect them to be, better, worse? And what's your thoughts? First, we'll go to Darren.
Yeah, so I'm very pleased with the start, to be quite honest. I've managed, it's been strange. I've watched all the games I follow, where normally I wouldn't have had the opportunity to see some of those away games. But I think made a good start. A lot of new players. For me, I don't know what you guys think, but the most of the games have been very tight. I think odd goals have settled it. I mean, some games we've been unlucky, others we've been slightly lucky, but there's been in games for me. And I think, bearing in mind we had so many new players coming on board, I've been very happy. Don't know what you guys think.
Well, who is there anybody that stands out that's a big surprise for you, Darren?
Yeah, not necessarily a surprise, but I've been very impressed with Burgess. I think he's settled into the back line. Not a surprise, but I've been, like I said, very impressed. He looks calm and collected, and we've got other defenders already there. I think we're pretty tough to break down. Keeper's done well, Toby Savin. I haven't seen the new keeper yet, so competition for places. It's so looking pretty rosy for me. And
the formation is a bit different this season with that John Coleman's using.
I think it's a mix and match. I mean, he's probably been waiting for Sean McConville to come back, so that's probably, it just made his mind up to play certain ways for certain games. Then Dion Shaw had the suspension, so I think it's horses for courses. He's just been waiting, seeing what squad he's got, and he's quite flexible. I think it might change and evolve as the season goes on. I mean, losing Dion Charles was a blow because obviously he was a key. He was having a good season so far, and obviously picked it up again and managed to get a goal, and he's up and running. So that's good news for me.
And I think we found that the 3-5-2 is kind of the formation du jour in League One this year, if you will. So I think maybe that has part to do with it too.
Well, it seems to be a system where the wing backs have a lot of responsibility, and I think that's the type of the staff or the players he has now at his disposal seems to work that system. I think the one fellow, what you mentioned, Burgess there, I agree, and I think Nottingham coming in has been a good signing. And also, I think John Russell looks like he's got something about him in the midfield. And he's, for a lad at his age, he looks mature beyond his years. So, I think I agree. It's get 4 wins at this part of the season out of 7 matches. You take that any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely very happy with everything I'm seeing. I mean, there's certainly been some holes in the squad at points, but I think that you're getting players back from injury and having not guys suspended and things like that makes a huge difference in terms of that. But from a talent standpoint, especially with these lone players, this is as talented a squad as Stanley has ever had. Still lacking some experience. I think that's going to come as the season goes on. But realistically, based on what I've seen, assuming that the squad can stay relatively healthy, and that's not taking consideration the situation right now, obviously, but I'm talking in terms of avoiding football injuries. I don't see any reason this team can't finish 12th or better, which would put them in the top half.
Yeah, I agree with that, Phil. I think we should be looking up from mid-table, and anything up there is a bonus for me.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I like when I'm at the matches is as we gather in the lounge afterwards, having a pint, talking about the match, and one of the things I like to do is to talk to Peter and anybody associated, with the Supporters Trust Club, and so Darren, it's I'm relying on you to sort of fill us in on the ins and outs of what's going on, with the Supporters Trust.
Well, before we do that, there was just there's 2 things I want to do real quick before we get into talking about the Supporters Trust. One is we just wanted to mention real quick that Stanley has announced now 19 players that were tested positive for COVID-19. 2 matches have already been postponed. The next 2 are already announced as postponed. So this is a total of at least 4 games that the club is going to have to reschedule in what was already a tight League One schedule to get all the games in with starting the season late. So I just wanted to know, what kind of impact do you guys see, going forward? I think one thing I mentioned yesterday is not that there's any silver lining to this, but if there was one, that you kind of get it all out of the way at once, and hopefully don't have matches suspended going forward, where you have, you've seen some teams where it's like maybe 2 players at a time gets it. I mean, this is kind of a one-time thing, it sounds like, but what kind of impact is it going to be having that crowded schedule down the stretch, do you guys think?
Yeah, I've got a few points on this because I think a lot will depend on how many teams are involved with this kind of scenario. So if you've, I don't know, upwards of half of the table at some point missing players through the season, it probably will even itself out. But if it's just Stanley and maybe 1 or 2 more, and you do get 4 or 5 games behind, I can see some difficulties because history tells us, I mean, for different reasons, when we have in the previous, maybe for suspensions with cancellations with the pitch, not being up to scratch, and FA Cup runs, and you get games behind, it very rarely ends well at the end of the season when you're trying to pull all those games back. So for me, it'll depend on how many teams are involved with this kind of
that's a good point you make, because in Accrington, you usually have a game or 2 a year that gets postponed because of weather too.
Yeah, and at one time when the pitch was so bad, Bill, I think we had 1 year, I think we ended up with 5 or 6 games cancelled, and trying to pull all those back in March and playing, 2 or 3 times every week. It's no matter how big your squad is, it just saps everybody's momentum, really.
Yeah, I think it's a key point is the number of matches that are postponed, and if it does grow into a sizable number, then it is going to have an adverse effect. If it stays as it is now, and you can schedule those throughout the season, they've got the size of the squad and the depth. I think fingers crossed that they could handle it well. But if it gets to 6 or 7 matches, then yeah, I agree. It could be an issue.
Yeah, I think that I'm kind of in line with what you guys are thinking, where right now it's manageable, but it definitely is something we don't want to see get much worse. But I think at the end of the day, the most important thing remains that Peter assured me yesterday that none of the current cases are serious. And at the end of the day, that's, of course, much bigger. If everybody can, come out of this healthy, I'd rather cancel 10 matches than, have.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the main thing. Everybody's fitting well, and by all accounts, that seems to be the case.
Yep. This is just like being in the bar afterwards, in the pub, is because you get off topic and people come and talk, and you're going in all different directions. So it's quite similar to when you get a crowd in the bar afterwards, is what we're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, just on that point, Tony, I remember you've cast my mind back then, and talking about finding things out in the bar after the game. When we were in non-league and Eric Wally was the chairman, you go into the bar after the game, and the players actually came into the bar for their wages. So they'd be given envelopes by Eric, and Eric being Eric, when they opened the envelopes, they weren't quite as full as they should have been. So you would see an odd player have an odd reaction to not being paid what they should have been. So it used to be quite entertaining for us supporters just watching this little event play out.
That's typical Eric Wally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was one guy called Lee McEverly. They used to call him Evil, when he was about 6'3", shaven head, and you should have seen his face and reactions if his wage wasn't what it should have been. Run for cover.
Well, before we get on to the Supporters Club Roundup section, where we're going to go over the Supporters Club topics, there is something that we have never done on the show that I think that we need to take care of today. And Tony, do you want to brush off your famous list of questions? Because we're going to give Darren Woodhead the rapid fire treatment today.
Just a second.
I've survived 190 episodes, and now I've been done.
Now I've just a minute. I got the dust off, and Here we go.
All right, Tony
Okay.
Robinson, you have the floor.
Start off with something a little different. Cheese. Do you like cheese in any pie? Yes or no?
Yes.
Mushy or garden peas?
Mushy.
Beatles or Stones?
Just about the Beatles, really, I think, but I'm not massive on either.
Red or white wine?
White.
This I gotta think you're gonna go with this one. Black pudding with your full English, yes or no?
Oh, yeah. I'm from Lancashire.
No, go,
Tony.
man. Yes.
A true Lancastrian would never say no to that, would they?
No, they would. They'd be shipped over to Yorkshire.
Yeah, definitely.
Have some of that Yorkshire pudding.
I'll have a bit of that as well.
Oh yeah, with a big dollop of gravy in it. Soaps, Coronation Street or EastEnders?
If I had a gun to my head, Coronation Street. But it would have to have a gun to my head to watch it. Really.
Now we thought, since this is across the pub in the happy hour after the win, would you be on Aki Ale or Lager?
Lager for me.
On Netflix, Sunderland Till I Die or The Last Dance?
Ooh, it's a tough one, that. It's just about Sunderland Till I Die, but I did enjoy The Last Dance. I must admit, I thought it was brilliant, but they both were in different ways.
And if Hollywood is going to make a film about Darren Woodhead, who would play you, and who would play you, and who would play your wife?
Oh, I'm not too sure on that. The only thing I'll say, Whitney Houston would have done the soundtrack.
I go with a younger Tom Hanks. I think.
Oh yeah, well, we'll go for that.
I was thinking Brad Pitt and Jolie. What's her name? I can't.
Yeah,
his ex-wife anyway.
Yeah, We better not go for that because they're not together, are they?
No.
Don't get me in any more trouble, Tony.
Sorry. Moving along. 3 people who you would like to have dinner with, living or dead. Any 3 people that you would like to sit down over a meal and have a nice chat.
Muhammad Ali. He's a big favourite of mine. I'll keep it sport. George Best. I like to have a night out with him at his peak.
You couldn't keep up with him anyway. Go on.
Yeah. My all-time sporting hero is Viv Richards, cricketer. So that's it. Those 3, keeping it a sport.
That's an excellent list. You might not even get a word in that with that group.
No, I just sit there and listen.
All right, I've got a couple here for you, Darren. How many Whitney Houston CDs are in your collection?
1. I think somewhere back from the 90s. But listening to you guys, you'd think that I was an avid fan, but no, I think 1. Greatest hits back in the 90s.
Yeah.
How many Burnley shirts do you own?
1. I've got 1 Burnley shirt from when I was about 8 years old, and it's a good one actually. It's a yellow away strip. So,
all right, a more serious one. Out of your books that you've written, which is your favorite one?
It's a non-football one. It's one I did Baxenden, where this is like the village, the area where I live. So Baxenden, Rising Bridge, and Stonefall. We only sold 500 copies, but I spent probably 2 years researching it, and I spent a lot of time doing it with my dad. So it was, that was nice.
Excellent. That's something new that I learned today because I only do your Stanley books.
Yeah.
So. And one I already know the answer to this one, Pat, but jalapenos on your pizza, yes or no?
Oh, every day of the week. Yeah. As many as you can get on there. Yeah, I love my chilies.
And Tony, you've got a few more, right?
Oh, I just have one last one. It was your favorite takeaway?
Indian. Yeah. Indian
Very
takeaway.
good. Yep. I think
Have you ever tried Uncle Joe's meatballs?
Yes, I have. Not for a long time. Not for a long time. But I'm intending on having a few more. You've jogged my memory with all those jokes and the posts on Facebook, etc. So we need to get somebody on board from Uncle Joe's Meatballs, don't we? We're giving them that much free advertising.
there's nothing wrong with sucking on a couple of good.
Oh, I think that's the end of rapid fire.
Okay. Now,
I'm off for a game of pool.
a question I asked about 15, 20 minutes ago was the supporters club. So can we turn that over to Darren now on a serious note?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, I've been chatting with Peter this morning, just having a roundup of things that are going on in the supporters club. If we do one of these every month, we'll probably do something similar where we let people know just the good things that are going on around the club, off the pitch, so to speak. So he did tell me that the sponsored walk, where some guys walked from Liverpool, there was other sponsored walks as well. There's raised a total of £3,500 towards the Memorial Garden, etc. So I think that's great news, guys, isn't it?
That's tremendous, absolutely. For what, and you were part of that too, Darren, from Preston North End. So, how was your feed after that one?
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, there were 4 of us set off from Deepdale. It was 17.7 miles hours, so we had a good day out. Weather was kind to us, 4 of us. I was in the group with Jason Graham, and I was just pleased that he didn't bring his flags. I had visions of having to carry a flag from Deepdale to the Wham Stadium, so that was quite a relief when he turned up without the flags.
You didn't have your sousaphone?
The what? The what?
Sousaphone, it's that big tuba that...
Zuzazela or something, the ones that...
No, a sousaphone. You know the big tuba that they use in the marching band that wraps around the guy's neck?
All right, vaguely. Not too au fait with that.
I think that's a no, Phil.
We can cut that.
Yeah.
Must be an American instrument.
And a big shout out, Darren, too, to the group that went from Anfield to Wham Stadium. That was a hell of a march for those guys.
I mean, I don't know how they did it. The 4 guys who did that, honestly. For me to get to almost 20 and to think I would have had to do it again, I don't know how they did it, but great kudos to them, because it's a brilliant achievement, and it got loads of airtime and social media time that helped raise that to get up to that 3,500 that it's going to go towards this Memorial Garden. And so Josh and the other guys, brilliant, absolutely excellent.
Yeah, excellent team effort.
Yeah. So one or two other things that have been going on. The Supporters Club have been helping out in the community this week. They've been delivering free meals for local children who need them. As part of this Lunches for Kids project with Ironburn Baby Bank. So Peter and his gang are actively been driving around, taking meals round to kids, and they just do so much in the community. I mean, how Peter fits all this into his daily life is beyond me. He's him and his gang of friends who manage to do this sort of stuff day in, day out. They man the shop in the market hall. They're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they do a tremendous job, and I always enjoy dropping into the shop in the market just to see who's there, have a chat, and have a look around, and buy something to bring home. So kudos to all those people and Peter for what they do.
You just can't overstate everything that Peter does for the club. I mean, for a guy like him to like you said, spend his time, in the shop selling merchandise, everything he organizes with the supporters club, and Darren, it's like you said. I think that the day after the walk. You said it went exactly like you'd expect something organized by Peter to go absolutely perfectly.
Oh yeah, I mean they had support cars with drinks in, and it felt like you were doing the Tour de France or something. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable support.
It would have been a lot easier on the bike, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, just a touch. So yeah, just on that note, on merchandise, they've also, he was telling me they've got some Christmas cards and calendars that are going to be on sale soon in the market.
Oh, I saw the calendars on Facebook.
Yeah, so he's going to be giving all that a good plug on social media. He was also telling me there's a Christmas draw coming up as well, where there's tickets for £1 each, and there's going to be a draw at the AGM. It's going to be done on Zoom on the 17th of December. So, like I said, there's plenty of avenues to support the club, and in the times when we need it, especially the supporters club, raising for good funds. So, hope everyone gets behind them.
Sounds great. Now, Darren, did you have anything else to go over on that, or did you want to go over your guest list now?
No, I think I've covered everything on this supporters club.
Darren, there's so many great things going on with the supporters club, and I'm very, very excited to hear everything that's happening with the Memorial Garden, because I mean that project is just tremendous. But speaking of tremendous, you have some tremendous guests coming up on Across the Pitch over the next couple months.
Yeah, I mean, specifically for Stanley, as it's a Stanley show, I'll start off with that. I mean, we know we've got Elias Khan lined up. He's coming on in a couple of weeks. Karen Fazakale is joining us. She works at the BBC, but she's also worked at Stanley previously. And also Dean Winnard yesterday confirmed that he's going to come on now.
Fantastic.
Dean he's third in the all-time list of Football League appearances behind Sean McConville and Andy Proctor. So, he knows a little bit about playing for Stanley, does Dean? And
Sean just tied Andy Proctor with 308 last week, right?
Yeah. So in third place with Dean, he's a well-liked character around the club. He spent many years at Stanley. He's now at Southport in a player coaching role. So he's going to have an interesting story to tell us, I'm sure. We've also got some other guests. Paul Fletcher, the ex-Burnley player, Burnley striker from the 70s, and someone who's been involved in building stadiums around the world, including Wembley, various roles at different clubs. I'm really looking forward to that one. And then we've got all the regular shows coming up with you guys, the review shows. So there's tons going on, isn't there, Phil?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. And, obviously, Tony and I have been doing the weekly League One roundup shows and the Accrington Stanley preview shows. Those are going to continue. We haven't done an ATP extra in a couple weeks, but those are going to keep coming. So have no fear on that if you're enjoying those, because we have definitely enjoyed making them. On the U.S. side of things, if you follow Phoenix Rising, you might know that this is the final week of the season, no matter what happens. And hopefully we will have a Phoenix Rising win, because that means they will be league champions, which means they don't get promoted and get to play in the same league again next year. But they still get a big trophy for it. But what that means is, obviously Accrington Stanley and Phoenix Rising are our two flagship teams here on Across the Pitch. And traditionally, we have wrapped up our podcast seasons in May with the end of the English League One season. But what we're going to go ahead and do here with Phoenix Rising season wrapping up, plus the way that the schedule has gotten off, plus just the tremendous amount of episodes that we've done in 2020 so far, we're going to wrap up season 3 here in the first week of November, kick off season 4 of Across the Pitch, and we're also going to be launching a brand new look website along with season 4. So keep posted for more announcements on that, because there's just a lot of exciting stuff about to happen. I also have Johnny Hibbard is going to be joining me next week to talk about the Belarus League, which is something we haven't done in about a month. So we're still doing that too. So just tons and tons of stuff happening with Across the Pitch. Also, an interview with Jake Anderson about Phoenix Rising that I did last night. That's in editing right now. Will be out before this. We're also going to be talking with Monica McPherson, who is one of the biggest Phoenix Rising fans, travels to all the away games. She's going to come on, talk about that. So just tons and tons of great stuff coming on ATP.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Darren for those veteran series that the guests he gets. They're for me, they fill in a lot of gaps when I was not in the area and we didn't have internet and social media and all that sort of thing. And so when I get to listen to some of those and the stories they have, some are heartwarming and some stories you think, wow, it's just incredible, and the nomadic life of these people that they had, and they all sort of come through football, and to listen to their stories, I think they're a tremendous part of the show, and I just want to say well done to Darren for doing all that work.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, Darren, the level of guests that you bring on the show is just tremendous, and like I was saying to you yesterday, I mean, it's one of those things where you just do an incredible level of research. You come into the guest, and all I've got to do is press record and go along for the ride. And through your books, it's already been just proven what a tremendous historian of the game you are. But these Legends interviews, you just take it to another level.
Thanks, Phil. And it's interesting that as more and more people find us and they're going into our back catalogue and looking at and downloading some of these episodes that are quite popular from a year or two ago. Even they're finding out the friends who've been on the podcast, ex-players, etc. So one or two are coming to me now, which is nice, rather than just pressuring everybody to come on the show. So more and more people find out it is getting easier to source good guests, which is helpful to us.
Well, I think when they get on and they enjoy it, so it's a relaxing chat, and most of the ones when they don't even realize it's been 45, 50 minutes that they've been chatting. It's just that they get relaxed and start telling some stories, and it's more like a visit as opposed to an interview, and I think that's why they come across so well.
Yeah. It's tremendous, and guys, I just want to say that probably the thing that I am most proud about as a show is that we've done is I don't think that we've ever had a guest come on the show that hasn't told us that they'd be willing to come on again if we ask them, and that's. To me, that's the most important thing, is that when a guest comes on, that they enjoy their time.
Yeah. No, well said. Just one thing I wanted to add tonight, and I've probably been speaking out of turn because I forgot to mention Mr. Kennedy's new role, and we should have probably been referring to him as Mr. Ambassador.
Well, maybe when I said, did you have anything else to talk about in that section, it quickly skipped over.
I was probably saving the best till last. So.
I was hoping I was going to get off on not having to.
Should have let off with that.
In all seriousness, so Phil has been announced as an international ambassador for the Accrington Stanley Supporters Trust. So. In recognition of all his work he's done with the Supporters Club North America and in other nations. It's an ever-growing list, and so fantastic. Well done, Phil. But we just got to keep your feet on the ground, and we're not going to call you Mr. Ambassador yet. We're just going to keep calling you Phil.
Yeah, Phil is just fine, and I'm just absolutely blown away. I mean, when I started this podcast, I mean, like I said, I mean, just I was surprised that Scott Brown even wanted to come on the show. And, now to have gotten to a point where we've had just dozens of Accrington players, coaches, staff members, fans on the show, and that the show has become a genuine part of the Accrington community. And now with the North American Supporters Club and the Supporters Club in Ghana and Australia. Now we're hearing from people in Spain. And of course, we've had the guys from France on. And it's just, it's incredible. And, now we've got Harry in Texas who's working with us. So, I mean, it's just where, Accrington Stanley as a global brand is becoming a genuine thing. And, I just hope that the North American Supporters Club that myself and Tony are running over here, and of course this Across the Pitch podcast can continue to be at the forefront of telling what I think is a story that just resonates with, especially in America where, people want to root for the underdog. There's no better underdog story than Accrington Stanley.
No, exactly. So,
and congratulations, Phil. Well deserved. And, I can say, I can actually say I knew you when you were a regular guy.
Well, Tony and Darren, none of it would have been possible without either one of you guys, because I mean, the work that you do on Across the Pitch. I mean, with Darren, we've already talked about the guests that you bring in, and Tony, all the work that you do with me on the current player interviews and running the Canadian arm of the North American Supporters Club. It's a team effort.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, guys, I didn't have anything else, but it's been a lot of fun. Did you guys have anything else?
No, I'm fine, Phil. Thank you very much. Good to speak to you guys again.
Yeah, my glass is empty, so it's time to wrap it up because it's my round.
Well, until then, on Stanley on.
Stanley on. Good luck to Rising.
Cheers.
Was that an Up the Rising, Darren?
Good luck to the Rising.
Okay. I thought maybe you were coming around.
I am. Good luck to the Rising.
All right. Enjoy your pints, guys. It's still a little early for me, but bottoms up, gentlemen.